Hi everyone, I hope you're all okay. So this is the second in my series of Tara's teaching tips. So I asked you if you are a trainee or an NQT to be to send in any worries or questions that you have that I may be able to try and answer to help you with. But a little disclaimer, I am just a trainee. I've literally finished my training this week, very exciting. So I will start my NQT year in September. So I'm not coming on here to say that I know all the answers and that I'm going to be able to tell you everything. I've just come on to try and help as many of you as I can. I won't be able to answer all the questions that I got sent in, but hopefully the ones that I do answer won't just help the people that ask them. Hopefully they'll help other people in the same position because we're all in the same boat. Okay, so I've got some questions from NQT to Bs, and I've also got questions from trainees as well. So I'm going to start with the NQT ones. So the first one I've got is from Miss Lucas NQT. And she has said, I feel so unprepared to be an NQT. Is this normal? Questioning if it's for me. I had to come on and answer this because this made me so sad to hear this. Firstly, don't doubt yourself. We have had a very disruptive training year, and we haven't really been able to prove ourselves. We haven't really been able to teach as much as we should have or do anything as much as we should have. So don't doubt yourself. It's not you. It's the fact that we haven't had enough time, to be able to do what we should have been able to do. We're all in the same boat. We've all had our training cut short, so you are definitely not alone, and I'm sure there are lots of people also feeling the same way as you. I definitely don't feel prepared, that's for sure. On Instagram, people probably look like they know what they're doing and that they've got it all covered, but yeah, that's definitely not going to be true. No one is going to really be prepared. We're definitely not knowing what we're doing, so you're not alone in that. But remember, our schools that we're going into in September will know that. They will understand that we're going to need a lot more help than normal NQTs. We had our training cut short, so we haven't been able to do everything we should have. So they will know that. They know that we've missed out on that and that we're not going to be as prepared as we could be. In the meantime, I'd say to try and help you and to try and feel a bit more confident, maybe do some more CPD. There's so many courses out there at the moment, so brush up on any subject knowledge for the year group that you're going into. I've done 2 posts on CPD, one for English and one for STEM, so I'll make sure they're linked in this video for you. Read lots of books, CPD books, children's books, anything just to make you feel a little bit more confident going in September. If you've got a job or when you have got a job, I would say definitely express these worries to your SLT, to the head teacher. Then hopefully they can sort of put in more support and try and ease your worries as best they can as well. Also, don't forget that everyone on Instagram is lovely. If you're feeling worried, you can message me, you can message anyone on Instagram, and I'm sure that they will try and make you feel a little bit happier and try and suggest things as well. But the main thing is, don't doubt yourself because you will be absolutely fine. So the second question I had was from Miss Black's Backpack, and she said tips on how to manage and work well with TAs from your own experience of being a TA. So yeah, I was a TA, I was a supply TA whilst I was at uni doing my undergrad. I did that part-time, and then I was a TA all of last year, a general TA, and then I did some one-to-one work as well. So yeah, from my own experience, having an organised teacher when you are the TA is so helpful. If your teacher knows what they're doing and then they can pass that message on to you really easily, then that just makes your life as a TA so much easier. I think try and collaborate on things, so ask for their advice. If they're really good at something, it might be that they want to help teach it, or they want to take a certain group and do something in particular, or they might be even able to help with planning. So find out what they're good at. That's really, really helpful. Giving them your lesson plans, or in advance telling them what the lessons are and what's going to be covered is really, really helpful. When I was a TA, it was just so useful knowing what was happening every day and what was going to be happening in each lesson, just so I could be prepared in advance. And if there was a certain child that I was going to be working with or a certain group, if I knew that in advance, then I could work out kind of how I would best be able to support them. I would say, this isn't an advert, but get one of these. This is what I'm going to be using. This is from the Positive Teacher Company. And then every day I'm just going to be able to fill this in for my TAs, and then they're going to know what they're doing, they're going to know what lessons are going on, where I want them to work, and then it'll just make communication so much easier, because obviously not all the time you're going to be able to talk to them and be able to every morning go through the day, so sometimes just having it written down might be better for communication. One of the main things is to treat your TA as being equal to you, show that they're valued, and that, you know, ultimately they're there to help the children more than to just do all of your little jobs that you don't necessarily want to do or have time for. Use them for like modelling, so if you need to model a kind of conversation or, you know, how to do something, do it with the TA, include them, involve them as much as you can, because that will make them feel even more valued. There is a TA course that's on TS, which I'll link below, and I've also done a post on how to make best use of your TAs as well, so I'll link that. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the questions that are from trainee to Bs who will start in September. So Kate Crawshaw has said, top tips to stay organised in the classroom on placement. I thought this was a really good question. So I used these folders for the days of the week. So I have one for every day of the week, and then I would put all of my lesson plans inside these, anything that I needed for these specific days. I would put them in their own plastic wallet, so each lesson would have their own plastic wallet, and then they would go inside the particular day. That just helped me keep organised and made sure that I had everything for that day already prepared. Have a diary and a planner. I use my diary for any like specific important dates, just to keep things like that written in, and then I use my planner to write any planning in and what lessons I was teaching. Pens, highlighters, post-it notes, they will be your best friend, so just always have them to hand. They will definitely keep you organised for any little notes or any kind of marking, anything like that you need to get done. When you take notes, so if you're observing a lesson or taking notes on a particular group of children, file it straight away. Make sure that, you know, it doesn't just lay around in the classroom or in your bag. And any photocopying, get that done straight away. My course, we had to sometimes photocopy particular children's work, just as evidence for the lessons that you've taught, so I would say try and do that straight away. So kind of leading on from that one, Rosie Makes Things 01 has asked for time management tips. So again, a diary and a planner, really handy just to keep you on top of things and know what you're doing when. I always did my to-do list the night before, so I'd plan out exactly what I needed to do the next day. Prioritise your list as well, make sure that you kind of manage when you're doing things, what's most important, what are the big things that you need to get done. Set deadlines for yourself, you know, make sure that if you're say you're writing an essay, you want to do 100 words in the next half an hour, whatever. Yeah, try and stick to those kind of things. Put your phone away. That's something I'm definitely guilty of, just sitting on my phone rather than doing any work. So yeah, just like be strict with yourself in regards to time management, just to make sure that you are getting everything done as quickly as you can. Don't spend forever on lesson plans. I was guilty of sometimes planning a lesson that took me longer than it would to actually do the lesson, which is just ridiculous. Generally, just have a work-life balance. I've done a post on this with my friend Miss Alexander, so I will link that below, because I think that's really important for your time management, to make sure that you're having your own life as well as getting things done. So the next question was from Sophia Mahmood, and she said, how best to show constant assessment and reflections. So we were given from our course a pro forma that basically we had to use when we were teaching English or maths. And across the pro forma you would have every child's name along the top, and then so if let's say we're doing English for the whole week, you would then kind of put underneath their name after each lesson, after you've marked their books or talked to them, you would put kind of if they were progressing or if they weren't, and just so then at the end of the week you will see if they have progressed and if they've improved or if they haven't. So that's really handy to kind of keep track of those kind of things. Make sure that you're always getting feedback from your TA. So if they've been working with a small group, make sure that they note down a post-it note or something for you to keep kind of how it went and how the children got on. When marking, always kind of reflect on what went well or what didn't, what the children understood, what they didn't understand. Again, from the Positive Teacher Company. I'm going to be using this next year because it just looks so handy. So you can just kind of, when you're marking, go through it all, kind of think about what went well, what didn't, and then that can inform your planning for the next lesson. So then just make it explicit in your planning that you've taken these notes from your marking, from the teaching, and then this is how you're going to change this lesson and make it more appropriate for how they got on last lesson. So yeah, just lots of notes on things like that. Self-assessment for the children as well. So if you put their success criteria in their books, then if they go along through the success criteria and kind of tick if they understood that part and if they feel that they were okay with it, or maybe put a little dot if they're still a little bit unsure. So then that gives you some idea, if they're being honest with it, as to whether they got on okay or if they're going to need more help. So the next question was from Megan Rennie, and she put, I'm not a big reader for pleasure and I'm worried that this will affect my teaching. So to be honest, you're probably not the only one. I'm sure there's lots of teachers that don't actually like reading. I would suggest trying some children's books because obviously that's what you're going to need to have some knowledge on to help your children with their reading and encouraging them to read for pleasure. So I've got a highlight with all of my book reviews on it, so that might give you a little bit of inspiration. Also, if you want, you can message me and I can try and find some kind of books that might be your kind of thing. I would say it's not going to necessarily affect your teaching, it will more affect kind of their desire to read and their inspiration. So mainly I would say just make sure you've got some kind of background knowledge on what children's books are good and the kind of things that your children are going to like. I would also highly recommend that you join mine and my friend Lucy's Teacher Book Club. That might give you a little bit of inspiration for what kind of books are out there at the moment. Even if you may not enjoy reading, it could help you get back into it, could try and inspire you a little bit more, as well as the children that you teach. So last but not least, I've had a question from Miss G.PGCE, and she has said, how can I best prepare over the summer before my teacher training? So the main thing I would say is to chill, relax. You're not going to get this time again. So definitely embrace it and do as much relaxing as you can. Follow any advice from your provider. So you might be sent a list of books that you could start reading, things like that. So definitely go by what they are suggesting you do. Get all your stationery ready, highlighters, folders, pens, plastic wallets, all of those kind of things, get that ready. I would suggest don't create a file for your teacher standards. This time last year on Instagram, so many people were making them and I was panicking thinking, oh my gosh, I need to make one as well. Luckily I didn't, because my provider, that we had to do all of our standards online, so I didn't need a folder at all. So luckily I hadn't made one, but I was just suggest don't do it until you know what your uni or your provider are suggesting you do with that. Read lots of children's books. I'm a big advocate for that, so yeah, definitely get into children's literature so you know what to recommend to children. Subject knowledge, I would say don't get too bogged down in it. I talked a little bit about that in my last video if you want to go and look at that. But yeah, you kind of learn as you go, so don't worry too much about it. You could do CPD courses, again I've linked them in this video if you're interested in them. But yeah, me and Miss Alexander have also done a post on this, so I'll link that as well. That's got a few more details and advice if you want to do any more. So yeah, I hope this video has been helpful for you if you asked a question, but also if you're just watching, hopefully this has helped you as well. Thank you for watching.